everyone, welcome back. My name is Dr. Pamela, and this week we're gonna be exploring deeply to the sacred and gentle to conception through the lens of Taoism. So this week we not only gonna talk about the physical fertility, but we also gonna talk about the energy, the intention, and the quiet power of inviting life. So this week, as usual, we have Dr. Erin. Welcome back, Dr. Erin.
Hello.
So this week topic, it's going to be a little bit different from our previous podcast. So we're going to talk about more to the philosophy of Taoist in what the philosophy offers is a beautiful alternative to pressure, feel, based fertility. Oh, we're gonna do that, track this, track that. But this week, we're gonna talk just to be free, get loose, and get pregnant. Easy, right, Dr. Erin?
That's right.
So, in briefly, Taoism encourages to follow the Tao. Tao, T-A-O. So it's meaning the way. So the path. So it means it's more on finding your own alignment with the nature's timing. So think about this. The easiest way to think about this is the season. After winter, we have spring. After spring, we have summer, and we have fall. So there is no like in confusion. There is no like spring and then, oh my God, we're going to be winter again. So this is the topic of conversation that we're going to talk about. And then the main concept for this, we call it Wu Wei, W-U, and then the second words is Wei, W-E-I. All right. So Dr. Erin, could you please help us understand what is this concept of Wu Wei mean?
So I don't know. I think the whole idea of Taoism, however people say it goes both ways. It's about living in alignment. It's also about living simply. It's really about coming back to yourself and your basic resources. It's about observing what's going on around you and being able to make your decisions in the flow, right? So that's what they're talking about when they say the way, the path. We all have this path that we're supposed to be on, but we have a tendency in the West to want to deviate from our path and try to forge a new path. And I like the idea of if the way is a sidewalk, it's already there and all you do is follow it along. And there's obstacles. You'll have a stop sign and you might have a hole and things happen. But the idea is you're on the path. In the West, we have this tendency to get off the sidewalk, to try to cross the street in traffic into a field with a machete, and then we're hacking our way. And it's just becoming so difficult when all we really had to do was just stay on the sidewalk. So the Wu Wei is that it's this idea of not working so hard and just allowing things to happen, being a little more patient, trying to find the timing that makes sense as opposed to the timing that you want. I want it now. I want this. I want to be here at this time. When the path is like, you'll get there if you'll just keep walking down the road. But we think we're going to find shortcuts that really just lead you into the bush.
Yes. So this concept reminds me of what Bruce Lee used to say. Be water, my friend. Yes. So
Mhm.
just think of water. So water, when you put it in the bottle, it becomes the bottle, right? When you put it in the different form of material, it become that. So that's the concept of Wu Wei. You just flow as it is, become what it is, not like to force something, try to create another way, like Erin said. So with this concept Wu Wei, it comes to the very concept of qi. So now we're going to talk about the qi. All right. So when we talk about conception, it's basically the biological event. But when we talk about the qi, it's a union of the vital energies between two people. Can you elaborate that, Dr. Erin?
Yes.
Yes.
So I was thinking about this topic and thinking about, have you ever watched a show about animals that are mating or birds? And they all have these sort of productions, right? They have these rituals, things that they do to attract a mate. And it's a show, it's a whole production. And the boys are colorful and they have all these details that they show off to the girl birds. And
Yes.
then girl birds do these little dances and they make these chirps. And it's a whole courting ritual. And I feel
Yes.
like that is what this kind of concept is. It's bringing back that intentional, like, I want to partner you. I want to do these things. But we're bringing in the dance of it and the production, but in a really intentional way.
Yes.
So that it's less about the biological act and more about courtship, romance, nuance, connection, the harmonizing. If the male energy and the female energy are going to come together, it's that union, it's that sacred space where the two really become one. And I just think it's in most of the fertility conversations, it's really left out.
Oh,
Nobody
yes,
talks about
absolutely. They literally just say, oh, do this, do that. It's just a generic conversation, but nobody want to talk about the intimate relationship during these two people.
it. Right.
So interestingly, we discovered, both me and Dr. Erin discovered that Taoism also speaks about the sexual union. So this
Mhm.
is not just part, oh, there is a left book that we forgot to read. No, this is part of the fertility process. It's not just a rigid thing. So we're going to talk about this today. This is especially very, very interesting and very important because that's the secret of union. So it's the energetic exchange and creation. So Dr. Erin, tell us more about this Taoist sexual alchemy.
I also want to say Taoism is not a religion. I think
Yes,
it's important to clarify that this is not a religious, it's a spiritual aspect, but you can think about it, it can go on top of any religion. So it doesn't matter if you're Christian or Buddhist or Catholic or Jewish. This is just a concept about living your life in a certain behavior. So don't feel like this is not something that you can adopt because you already have a religious belief system. Think about this as like, but this is going to just influence the way that you implement your religion. So I like to say that because I don't want people to turn away when we start talking about
yes,
sexual alchemy. But it's like it's it's the union of sex is a sacred act. So it is deeply spiritual and it is really embedded in religious tradition. And I think historically, 1,000 years ago, people made more of a production about that origin story of a couple coming together for the first time. And that was a profound experience. And in our modern world, we don't really have that same thing. But
yes,
this idea is to bring that back into the conversation between partners, to remember that sex is more than just pleasure and it's more than just the means to an end. I think for a
yes,
lot of the women, it's a means to an end. We just have to do the sex thing today so I can get pregnant. And then for men, they're like, well, I don't really care what, I'm just going to get my rocks off. And no, right. And that's just not, there's nothing sacred in that. So this idea of the alchemy is the creation, the mojo, the juju of putting people together. And I also think I think this is also why one night stands can produce a lot of unplanned pregnancies,
yes,
because that exchange between people is usually like it's chemistry. They're not coming at it from that same obligatory place that we are when we're in a partnership. And so there's all these different chemicals that come about. And yes, you get an alchemy there. So I was telling Dr. Pamela, I was working with
yes,
a client couple, and that was one of my instructions. I want you to do it all differently. Whatever your normal routine is around ovulation time, I want you to drop it. And I want you to act like this is the first time. Have some fun with it, be playful, don't put it on your calendar, just try to do it in a different way. And they responded so well. They just really, after we talked at our next session, they were both really like, oh my gosh, it was so different. We were so less stressed. And so that's what this experience is. It's not the goal oriented kind of union. It's spirit oriented union. It's to remember you're my person. I chose you and you chose me, and let's come together and do this thing.
And the chemical that appear during the process is not, we not be able to explain it. It's basically just it's more than a pheromone.
Right.
Right?
It's not oxytocin.
No.
Oxytocin might be there. All these things might be there. We know that's the West, right? They want to define what it is. But what we know is it's divinity. It's the spirit and the earth moving through humanity to create life. Like that's what conception is. And we've just lost that. So, right, you can't define what that chemistry is. Why does it happen here and not there? I don't know. It's not our business to know.
Exactly. So with that, right? So there is this other concept that the Taoists presented for us. What is that concept? You call a baby. So tell us more about that, Dr. Erin.
Oh, it's this idea, again, going back to the Western idea of, we talked about it in the first one, trying to conceive versus receiving a pregnancy.
Yes.
In that Taoist idea, you receive a pregnancy, it comes to you and you accept it. And in the West, you seek it out and you go get it. And so it's just a different energy and a different concept. So this is going back to that and saying, we're not making a baby. We are, right? Technically we are. But
Yeah.
what we're doing is asking a baby to come and be with us. You're being interviewed by babies that are out there. And they are there to observe your livelihood, and the right baby is going to choose you, and then they're going to come into that space. It's kind of how the Taoism goes about it. You're calling in a spirit from your sacred lineage to join you on earth. And it's woo woo, right? But it's also really beautiful. When people have a baby and they say, she looks just like my grandmother, or you found a picture of your mother's great aunt and it's like, oh my gosh, that child looks exactly the same. That's the lineage, right? You're calling in that ancestry to cycle down and join you on earth. And it's just a beautiful way to think about it, because you're not in pursuit. You're in, like, it's a stork. Please come and be with us. And it's just such a different energy than, I need a baby.
Yes.
We want a baby, right? That's so aggressive. A baby might be like, well, I don't know if I want you.
Right? It's kind of like a karmic calling.
Yes, karma. Yeah.
Karmic calling, but more than often, this is what I observe in clinical setting. When people come in, when somebody passed, right? I always ask, anybody's pregnant right now? Normally, it's a karmic lineage.
Right.
So when it, again, there is this one story that actually happened in clinical setting. So the mom passed away. And then when I asked if somebody in the family is pregnant, and then she said, yeah, somebody's pregnant. I said, then I told this lady to just pay attention. It's not like, just pay attention. You don't have to do anything more than that. And then when the baby was born and grew up, right, she has a little bit of personality of the mother that passed away, which is really, really interesting. Again, I cannot explain it with a scientific term, but through observation, sometimes it gives us clue why the baby choose you or how you call the baby. It's just like, it's what I call is the karmic process. Every birth there is a death, but it's not the actual death. It's basically rebirth to the new form, right?
And I think maybe because Asian cultures traditionally, lineage and ancestry is a big part of their history and conversation. And in the West, I think because we're such a melting pot, we don't have that same we don't have a 5,000-year history in this country. So I think it's just not as much part of our norm to have those kinds of conversations. So this, you and I talking about this is reintroducing this idea of ancestry and lineage and just the importance of honoring the people that came before you, who've helped your family, that have paved the way for you, and just remembering where you've come from and what you want to contribute to the next generation. It's not just having a baby at all costs. It's taking the time to be healthy and to be well and feel secure and joyful in your life so that you can donate that to the next generation that comes in and is born healthy and well and nourished. And that's how we keep proliferating healthy people that are secure and stable and are really, we're in a kind of crazy world these days. It's important to give everything you can to that next generation.
That's literally the prerequisite for conception, right? So you have to eat well, not just like calling the baby or the baby chooses you. You still have to do your work. You have to eat with intention, minimize toxin use, take seriously with your sleep. And in addition, you might have to incorporate holistic care like acupuncture, herbal medicine, so you can support your fertility. Right,
Mhm.
Dr. Erin?
Right. And that's really when we go look at Taoist philosophy, that's what it is. That's what it's based on. It's just these ideas about connecting to the earth, living simply, doing your part. And it's not a list of supplements. I'm not saying that supplements can't be beneficial, but they're not going to solve the issue for most couples. They might be a small part of a much bigger picture. But even taking a supplement is intentional. But we need to remember that. You need to
Yeah.
I always, when I have people take something, I like to come up with a mantra or an affirmation. So when you take your pill, you say this thing because it's reminding you why you're doing it. Like, I want you to feel the energy of the doing, not just the taking. I'm
Yes.
doing this to heal this part of my body so that I can be a vessel to my child or whatever it is that you come up with. But it changes that whole chemistry. Instead of feeling like I'm just taking pills all day, I am restoring myself so that I can be a better vessel. An
Yeah.
emotion.
This is also to enhance the communication between the organs. These organs is the one that make you you.
Yeah.
So if you just like, oh my God, I gotta take another one. So if you already started with the wrong mindset, right? So when you take the supplement or the herbs or doing acupuncture, do you really think you're gonna benefit most of that? No, because your body already start with the negative connotation, right?
Right?
Oh,
100%.
all right. So before we close, always we will love Dr. Erin to tell us three unconventional tips. Not the conventional, the three unconventional that people don't really talk about. So this is a fresh ideas. All right, Dr. Erin.
All right. And these are fun. I liked coming
Yes.
up. Again, the whole intention here is to bring joy and pleasure back into your life and to have fun. So, women are yin, and the yin is the moon. And we always talk about menstrual cycles as lunar cycles. So, we have this whole relationship to the moon and the night sky. That's our yin time. So, starting a lunar observation, gazing at the moon, basically. During the day, we're in our yang energy and we're busy and we're up and we're moving around. But if you start intentionally observing the moon on a daily basis, it really helps restore that yin yang rhythm. So, you want to watch the sunset. Get quiet, sit down, not on your phone. You're not taking pictures of the sunset. Just watch it. Be with your partner. Watch the sun go down. Go outside at night and look at the moon for a few minutes, 5 or 10 minutes. Just stargaze. Notice the size of the moon. What's the shape? Where is it in the cycle? You don't necessarily have to go do research about it, right? You're just there to observe. It's like this reminder of the cycles and the rhythm of time. So, and again, doing it with your partner is really nice. Do it for yourself, but definitely, and on a full moon, go outside under a full moon and just absorb that energy, and it will literally start transforming some of your body cells.
Excellent, excellent. Anything else?
This is a fun one. So, create a little baby invitational altar, a little space. So, in your house, find a little area and find a candle or something nice to put there, a little statue. You could put fresh flowers. You go into places and you see an altar. We're going to create this little baby altar. And write a little note to that child that you want to bring into the world, and just make that a little intentional landing place. When you're having a hard moment, if you're feeling stressed about this process or how long it's taking or whatever, just go there and spend a moment there. And it just reminds you to come back into that place of intention, softness, and loving. And you always want to keep that loving energy present. And then I always like to talk about meditation and the mindfulness piece of all of this. So tap into that ancestry line, moving a little bit away from God and spirit and moving a little bit more towards like, okay, grandmother, great grandmother, the people that you heard stories about, husband and I, partner and I want to bring a baby into the world. Help us deliver, help us call our baby down. And you can have fun with that. And I think it also tends to bring up interesting storytelling in families that sometimes you wouldn't have heard those things.
Yes.
So going to your elders, your great aunts, the people that you have these relationships with, and asking questions, listening to stories, and rebirthing that ancestry experience, all of that is really enriching that idea of calling the baby down.
Excellent. And I would like to add a little bit of information about the altar or most room that you can spend most based on Feng Shui. Feng
Mm.
Shui is basically the ancient Chinese energy alignment. So there is 9 corners, right? So southwest. So southwest, they call it a maternal corner. So
Mm.
in your home, use a compass, right? Find the southwest area. So that's basically a maternal room. So if you're not doing intercourse in that room, right? That's fine, but you can create an altar in southwest corner of your home and meditate on that corner because the energy is more favorable and it helps you align with your intention. So at least that's the feng shui part of cultivating or calling up the energy. It's like a shortcut, but it's not really a shortcut. You just, they call it be in the right place in the right time and doing the right things. That's what we're trying to do.
I always love your feng shui tips. They're fun.
Yes. All right. So this is a very, very different conversation this week. So hopefully you guys, listeners out there, enjoy this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you like this podcast, share that with anyone that you know, not just that trying to conceive or receiving pregnancy, those that need to spice up their relationship. It's also helpful. All right. So anyway, have a great weekend and we shall see you next week. Thank you, Dr. Erin, as always, and we shall see everybody next week. Take care for now.
Bye, everybody.